Hello, my name is Shirley Yang from St. Andrew's Catholic School, and today I'll be presenting my Base F Science Fair project around my new innovation called BPS. BPS stands for Bulletproof School, and basically it's a new innovative school designed to prevent many things that endanger students and their safety. BPS works towards preventing intruders and school shootings using the means of architecture. So my abstract. Our nation's schools should be safe for teaching and learning, free of crime and violence. Any instance of crime or violence at school not only affects the individuals involved, but also may disrupt the educational process and affect bystanders, the school itself, and the surrounding community. The violence that occurs in these schools can come from external sources like unwanted intruders, but it also can be internal violence from the students themselves. We don't need big bulky technology to fix these problems. Why not redesign how schools are built? Is there a connection between school intruders, the design, and the structure of schools? How can we make them safer? I think the design of schools can affect the safety of students and staff members. So today I'll be talking about a few things then. I wanted to go over my question, variable, and hypothesis, a little bit of background information, more info on what BPS really is, some procedure future ideas, and I'll conclude with a conclusion and some acknowledgments. So my question is there a connection between school intruders and the design of schools, and how can we make them safer? My independent variable would be the design of school themselves. My dependent variables would be the number of intruders and school shootings there are. My controlled variables would be students, teachers, and staff members that work and attend at school. My hypothesis is that the design of schools can affect the safety of students and staff members. So a little bit of background research then. I want to talk about three things under this. I want to first talk about school shootings, the elements of schools and common designs, and then statistics on school crime. So firstly about school shootings then. Since 2009, at least 177 of American schools have experienced a shooting. These tragedies are diverse as our nation, but the depth of trauma is hard to convey. School shootings are increasing, and no type of community is spared. Over the past decade, there are at least 180 shootings for K-12 schools across the U.S. They happen in big cities and small towns, in homecoming games, and during art classes, as students are leaving the campus in the afternoon, and during late-night arguments in the school parking lots. But the thing is, they are happening way more often. With little federal data on school shootings, it's hard to pinpoint what's behind the recent increase, but law enforcement experts believe one reason could be diminished coping skills, which has prompted people to lash out in many violent ways. So these are a few quotes. I won't be reading them because of time purposes, but to sum it up, most schools shootings happen on Friday afternoons. The average shootings has 2 victims, and experts say that while mass shootings are a concern, it's the day-to-day violence that impacts our schools even more. So this is a graph talking about school shootings that have increased over the past few years. As you can see, since 2009, there has been much more school shootings now. So now the elements of schools. There are many different elements that a school has, but there are a few that are required so that the school can maintain functioning. For example, things like classrooms, subject rooms, library, headmaster rooms, the school office, the staff room. These are a few pictures. So statistics in school crime. So there are perceptions of personal safety at school and away from school. These are from student reports. In 2017, about 4% of students ages 12 to 18 reported that they had been afraid of attack or harm at school during the school year. A lower percentage of students, about 3%, reported that they might have been afraid of attack or harm away from school during the school year. So preliminary data shows that there are about 38 school-associated violent deaths from July 1st, 2015 to July 3rd, 2016. In 2017, among students around 12 to 18, there are about 827,000 total victimization. This can include theft and non-fatal and violent victimization at school, and 503,800 victimizations away from school. In 2017, about 20% of students ages 12 to 18 reported being bullied during the school year. Also, 2017, about 16% of students in grade 9 to 12 reported that they have carried a weapon such as a gun, knife, or a club anywhere at least one day during the previous 30 days, and 4% reported carrying a weapon on school property at least one day during the previous 30 days. This is a graph showing the percentage of public schools recording accidents that have actually been reported to the police, things like violence, theft, or other crimes at school. So the results from my research. As you can see from the previous few slides, the most violence comes from the students within the school rather than outside sources. But of course, many other things like unwanted intruders are still extremely important, and it's still a major threat to elementary schools. I found that in places like high school, university, college, etc., these schools are more prone to internal violence coming from their own school, while places like elementary schools are more prone to unwanted intruders. So what is BPS? How does it work? What are its benefits? And is it effective? So BPS stands for Bulletproof School, as I said. The purpose of BPS is to make schoolers safer from unwanted intruders and violence. BPS is a sequence of walls placed at each entrance of the school that is uniquely made for that school only. The sequence of walls will represent a simple, small maze. So how does it work then? So now you know the main idea, how does it work? These sequence of walls prevent unwanted intruders and strangers from entering your school. The maze would confuse the intruder for quite a long time. They have to figure out how to get through this mini maze. Once they do, it's far too late. Security cameras and staff members would have already alerted the police, and they are on their way. Since BPS walls are built uniquely for the school, it can be hard to memorize the mazes. Over time, students and staff would have memorized their own and got to know their own maze pretty well, so it won't be a problem for them. So the benefits and effectiveness. I think there are two main benefits. Firstly, that we make schools safer. It gives students a sense of security, knowing that they can learn without fearing for their own safety. Secondly, it discourages strangers and intruders to go break into their schools even more. Secondly, it benefits the students and their learning. Students can expand their creativity by using this maze in their work environment. When students are entering the building, they can be more cautious because these mazes could squish others if they aren't careful. So since building BPS walls require very limited resources, so almost all schools can actually afford them. This would be very effective because now we can notify staff members if they're an intruder extremely easily, preventing further harm to students. This is a demonstration of a classic school hallway. This is what BPS would look like, a small, simple maze. So the procedure and future ideas. So I first researched school designs and statistics on school crime. Then I researched how school designs relate to intruders and school crime. And finally, I brainstormed my own idea to try to solve this problem. So other future ideas to prevent unwanted intruders, violence, or school shootings is things like student therapy to make it more accessible and encourage students to use those resources. So in conclusion, there is a way in which we can make schools safer through the means of architecture. There is a connection between the designs of schools and violence that occurs in it. My new innovation can help schools become safer in a very cheap way. A very simple, cheap, and affordable way. So some acknowledgements is that I would like to thank Miss Davy for helping me through this project. I would also like to thank Mark, who came in our classroom and helped me narrow my project down and gave me a bit more guidance. I would also like to thank my parents for supporting me and encouraging me to never give up. Thank you for listening to my project.